Hi guys, Emma here from Your Reformer. For those of you new to Pilates, I just wanted to spend some time with you today, taking you through some of my tips and focus points when you're doing some common exercises in our programs. I've got one red spring on the Reformer, which will be fine for what we're doing today. And I'm going to ask you to please lie down first in footwork position. So shoulders in front of the shoulder rests, feet are on the foot bar, just on your heels, arms down by your side, and I have my head rest up for this. A few things to note with footwork, which is a common exercise we'll use for warm-ups in programs, is to think about the length in your spine on the carriage. So you want to lengthen your tailbone down towards the foot bar, finding that little arch in your lower back. As you breathe, you're going to inhale, your rib cage will open out, and as you exhale, think about drawing your rib cage down towards your hip bones, which activates your obliques. From there, you're going to press through the heels, squeeze your buttocks as you drive the carriage away, and then inhale as you come back in. Now, focus points as we press away is that you're not locking your knees out. So little micro bend in the knee as you press away. And as you come back in, you want to work against the spring. So actually slow the carriage down as you come in. So drive through the heels, all the energy as you press out, slow it down, work against the springs as you come back in. Now I'm on a light spring here on the red, but what we're doing being on the light spring is actually focusing on those abdominals and warming up through the core to stabilize. Maintaining that neutral spine and focusing on those legs, knees tracking over the toes. Coming in, another exercise we will use a lot in class is a tabletop position. If you're new to Pilates, this may actually feel really challenging. So I'll show you a few ways to build up to a tabletop position. But tabletop in a sense looks like this. Knees up in line with your hips, feet in line with your ankles. Straight away, I can feel my abdominals working. I actually just had a baby a month ago, so they're really working hard. As a beginner, what you want to focus on is actually pressing your spine into the carriage and closing down that arch. That's going to support your back. Now, as you build up strength in your abdominals, you'll be able to actually hold what we call a neutral spine, a little arch. But what you don't want to have happen is in tabletop, your back arches and your ribs actually flare out. If you feel that happening, you're fatiguing and you just need to bring your feet down, have a rest, and then you can continue on with that exercise. Tabletop's actually something you can get to really quickly. So don't panic if you're starting a practice and tabletop's just too challenging for you. You can do all the exercises that we do in a supine, which means lying on your back with the hands in straps, without the straps and feet down. So you could do, for example, an ab curl where chin's tucked, exhale as you lift up, reach your hands past your waist, inhale as you lower back down. So my feet are on the foot bar, I'm in neutral spine, so everything's supported, and it's more of a beginner pose to build up that strength in your abdominals before I add the straps, which will look like this. If I find the other strap, hands in the loops, pressing my spine into the carriage, bringing my knees up above my hips, ankles in line with my knees, inhale, then exhale, bringing my arms down, looking toward my knees and coming back down. So that's what it looks like with your straps. If that's too challenging, you could leave your head down like I do on the headrest and just work through the arms. Like I said before, I know I can already feel my abdominals working simply by holding tabletop, pressing that spine into the carriage. Then that progression is adding the arms, and then that final challenge, adding your chest lift and coming back in, popping those straps down. Now, I promised you a way to build up that strength in the tabletop. A nice challenge or a nice way to do that might be just to start with leg lifts. So single leg. So pressing that spine into the carriage, bringing your left leg or right leg up one at a time, lowering it, and then the opposite leg up one at a time. Then what you could do once you've progressed from there is to come into that tabletop position and just lowering one leg down at a time, keeping that bend in the knee. So these are toe taps. Ideally, that foot bar's not there, so you can get that foot a little lower to challenge yourself. working through it. And then just taking breathers. Maybe you do 6 and then take a break, do 6 again, take a break, do 3 sets, and then just build up to it until you feel confident. You can feel you're holding that position in tabletop well enough to continue with the hands and straps. Okay, the next few tips I would like to give you are actually our side lying, so for our glutes. So what we do is we can use the foot bar. Sometimes we'll use the straps where you put the foot in the strap, all targeting our glutes, hamstrings. Now I've got my headrest up here. If that's not comfortable, because we do lie on our side like this, if that's not comfortable for you, what you could do is actually put the headrest down, grab your Pilates ball and actually put the Pilates ball under your head. That's an alternative option for position and comfort. But the focus points here are wanting to have your spine right to the back of the carriage. Your hips are stacked one on top of the other. And you might actually think about pressing or rolling your top hip forward slightly, because we do have a tendency to tend to roll backwards, and we want them top hip on top of the bottom hip, really stacked. You also want to think about lifting your lower waist up off the carriage. You might not get a gap or the waist lift. The idea of it is lightening the load there, just the idea of lifting. So I often think about pushing my top hip away from my shoulder, and that tends to help me lift that waist, set my obliques and abdominals on. Just tucking that underneath leg away from you, just under you on the carriage, whatever's comfortable. Then you can press away, move into that exercise as you go. Focusing on maintaining that connection, so drawing your belly button to your spine and lifting that waist up off the carriage as you work through your glutes. Sometimes it can even help if you actually think about squeezing that buttocks as you drive through the heel or press away, whichever position you're in, but actually focusing on the area you're wanting to switch on and target. Okay, we're now going to gracefully come up off the reformer. I'm going to talk you through a couple of positions with some standing exercises that we do. So lunges, scooters we call them. You're going to bring your outside foot on the floor close to the foot bar. Your inside foot will come up against the shoulder rest. Now note, I've got my toes in line with the bottom of the foot bar. If you had your foot further back, that's fine, but just know that's going to be more challenging. The further back you are, the further you need to press that carriage away, which means the greater tension on the springs. So if you find you're doing one of these exercises and you're thinking, geez, that's really tough, have a look at where your foot is. It might be as simple as bringing it forward, and then it makes it that much more doable for you. Couple of things to focus on. So this is a scooter that I'm just performing right now. It's one of my favorite exercises, so I naturally go into it. Is that your knees tracking over your middle toe and your foot is planted on the floor but not flat-footed. So almost think about lifting your heel up off the floor. From there, you're then pressing that leg back, squeezing that buttocks. Hips are stacked forward. You have the foot bar here, so by all means, if you're a beginner, it's a really great tool to use to support your balance. And then as you progress and get more confident and stronger with it, you can take one hand away or even two hands, placing them on your hip or behind your back. My tummy's on, chest is open, and my shoulders are down and back. In fact, the shoulders is actually something I want you to think about in most exercises in terms of posture. You really want to create this space in your neck. So nice long neck, dropping the shoulders down. Often that's where when we're starting to fatigue, we tend to scrunch up, get a lot of tension here. You know, it's really common if you're breastfeeding or if you sit at a desk all day working, it's where we hold our tension. Pilates is a really great exercise or practice to help support that, help with posture and relieve the tension in the neck and shoulders. Okay guys, the last thing I want to take you through is some arm exercises using our box on the reformer. So I'm going to grab the box and I'm going to place it on the carriage lengthways. Then I'm going to sit on the box facing the back of our reformer, one leg either side. I'm going to grab hold of my straps. Now, this box is a great tool to use if you're a beginner for arm work, or perhaps you're pregnant. And then we can progress by taking the box off and kneeling on the carriage. What the box does is just provides you with some more support, so it's not making it as challenging on the abdominals. Also a really good one if you've got knee pathologies, knee issues, and you just can't kneel. Grab the box. A lot of the arm exercises that we do in our programs can all be done sitting on the box. One thing to know though is that because we're on the box, we are also higher up, which means that the arm exercises, the springs that you use, can feel more challenging because we've got further to move and further to pull away. So you might have to drop the springs if you are on the box. But I'll just show you a couple of examples of exercises we do. So a bicep curl is one that we love, sculpting our arms. So palms out in front, fingertips facing the back of the reformer, arms up at about shoulder height, and you bend the elbows. Exhale as you bring the palms towards your shoulders. Inhale as you straighten your arms. Exhale to bend, inhale to straighten. So as you do this, shoulders, again, that posture, down, nice long neck, tummy's on, and you're sitting up nice and tall. So thinking about reaching the top of your head, the crown of your head, up towards the ceiling. From here, we could go into a row. So crossing the straps over, turn the palms to face the floor, pull the straps back, elbows in line with your shoulders, squeeze the shoulder blades together, inhale to release. So here you're thinking about you've got a piece of paper, as thin as a piece of paper between your shoulder blades, and that's what you're squeezing as you pull the straps back for that row. Really great exercise here to support the posture again so that we're not rolling forward and having a forward tilt position, bringing us back, sitting upright, standing upright. Okay, again, some arm exercises you could do is simply just turning to face the opposite way. So again, on the box, reaching behind with your straps. Often you find you're going to need to drop the springs when you face this way because we're using some smaller muscle groups and they're usually a little weaker than our back muscle groups. But we could do a reach forward. Again, it's all about the posture with these. So you want to sit upright, shoulders down. I'd much rather you drop your spring so that you can maintain a great posture and not shrug those shoulders than try to push through a spring that's too hard and potentially injure yourself, hurt your neck. Okay. Thank you for spending some time with me. There's some of my main tips and tricks and what to think about as you're progressing through our classes. If you're new, really suggest you start with a level 1. Our instructors are amazing, really inspirational, and you're going to love it. If you ever need to, just rewatch this video so that you can grab a few more of those tips and then carry on again. Thanks, guys.